Remove that cross, or face dishonorable discharge.
Remove that cross, or face dishonorable discharge. The judge's voice struck the courtroom like a rifle shot. Sharp. Final. No debate. A silence followed, so thick, so crushing it felt like time stopped. All eyes turned toward Sergeant David Kessler, standing tall in his gleaming ceremonial uniform. Motionless, imposing. A tomb guard at Arlington, trained to never blink, never shift, never show emotion. But now, even stone can be tested. On his chest, the small silver cross glinted under the courtroom lights. Not flashy, not loud, but radiant. Radiant in its defiance, a whisper of memory in a world that forgot. The judge leaned forward, his voice rising. This is a federal courtroom. The cross is a breach of uniform protocol and a threat to the principle of public neutrality. Murmurs, gasps, a few nods. Others looked away in shame, but Sergeant Kessler, he didn't move. He didn't speak. Because the cross said everything. The courtroom saw a symbol. The media saw a rebellion. The judge saw a violation, but no one not. A single soul in that room bothered to ask the only question that mattered. Why does he wear it? The judge had filed the lawsuit himself, former military advisor turned civil enforcer. He claimed the cross alienated Americans, that it introduced religion into a national space meant for everyone. The tomb of the unknown soldier, he argued, should have no religion, no politics, just sacrifice. But in his obsession with erasing bias, he forgot what it meant to honor the dead. David had worn that cross every shift since the day he buried a dream instead of a brother. His brother, Private Jacob Kessler, was killed overseas by an explosion so violent there was nothing left to send home, nothing but a melted dog tag. And a small cross, bent and scorched but still intact. David had held that broken cross in shaking fingers, standing alone in an empty airport hangar. No ceremony, no salute, just a folded flag and silence. He had whispered, "I'll keep your memory alive. I swear to God I will." That wasn't about faith, it was about grief, guilt, love, and a promise only a brother can make. For months, trial exploded across America. Some headlines painted David as a radical, others hailed him as a hero. Protesters clashed outside the courthouse. On one side, separation of church and state. On the other, let him wear it. But inside, David stood like a statue carved in pain, never responded to the noise until the final day. The judge leaned in, hand trembling with authority and ego. "This is your last warning, Sergeant. Remove the cross, or surrender your career." And for the first time, David spoke. His voice didn't shake. It didn't rise, but it cracked the room like thunder. This isn't about religion. This isn't about rebellion. It's about a promise. He slowly reached into his coat, pulled out a yellowed casualty notice, folded, creased, worn from being opened and closed thousands of times. "My brother didn't get a coffin. Just a medal, no grave, just a name on a wall." He tapped the cross on his chest. "I wear this because he can't." Silence. Not courtroom silence. Sacred silence. No one moved. Not the judge, not the cameras, not the soldiers in uniform lining the back wall. Outside, the clip went viral in minutes. By midnight, it was unstoppable. Let him wear it. Hashtag cross for Jacob. Hashtag honor the fallen veterans, families, celebrities, even atheists. All united not for a religion, but for the right to remember. Under crushing pressure, the Department of Defense issued a rare reversal. Symbolic items of personal loss, when worn by ceremonial guards, shall not be considered violations of uniform standards under honorable service conditions. The judge's ruling was overruled, but the court of public opinion had already passed its sentence. The judge appeared on TV days later, flustered and scrambling for control. "I was protecting neutrality," he insisted. "But neutrality without compassion is emptiness, and justice without understanding is tyranny." A week later, the skies over Arlington were silent. The wreath-laying ceremony had begun. The camera zoomed in, and there he was, Sergeant David Kessler, back at his post. Unmoving, unyielding. On his chest, the cross, polished and proud. This time, there were no protesters. No arguments. Only reverence. A young boy in the crowd stood and saluted. His mother whispered, tears in her eyes. That man. He remembers someone. An old veteran behind them spoke quietly to no one in particular. That's not a cross. That's a heartbeat. Because sometimes a symbol isn't political. It isn't about belief or rebellion. Sometimes it's a promise forged in loss. It's a memory worn like armor. A weight carried so the world doesn't forget the names that faded in war. And sometimes the most powerful act of defiance is simply refusing to take it off. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Sergeant Kessler's stand moved you? Smash that like button, subscribe, share this with someone who believes in honoring sacrifice, no matter the cost. Because heroes don't always march. Sometimes they just stand still.
I sentence you to death by firing squad.